How many followers do you have on Instagram? Hi, everybody. This is Dennis Schiraldi, and this is the DOYO Live Marketing Show. Channeling my best inner Gary Vaynerchuk today. Hi, everybody. This is DOYO Live Marketing Show, and with me today is Jamie Jamison.
Hi, everybody.
And she has 20,000 followers on her Instagram account. So today, what we're going to learn today about is, that was very awkward. We're going to learn about how to grow your following on Instagram. This is going to be amazing because I only have about 1,500 followers to the DOYO Live platform. I've known Jamie now for going on a year. We met last year through the Youngstown Business Incubator's Women's Entrepreneurs Group. And then also she was part of DOYO Live as a social media influencer last year. She did a takeover of our account. She helped out the day of by providing some guidance and expertise in a little mini workshop on Instagram. And so today's episode of the DOYO Live Marketing Show, Gotta Pay the Bills, is being brought to you by Juggerbot 3D Printing. And why that's important is because we have a big webinar next week on March 2nd. You go to juggerbot3d.com and you can log on. It's content marketing at its finest hour in manufacturing, and you'll learn some very interesting things about the understanding the financial impact that 3D printing is having on manufacturing. So in any case, let's get it going. Let's get it cracking. So Jamie, let's give some people some context and tell them a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my background is I'm actually an instructor at YSU. I teach communication.
We're colleagues. I forgot about that.
Yes, we are colleagues. Yes. So that's my day job. I have been a photographer for years and got really serious about it about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
I started with Instagram because I was doing some mixed media work and I wanted to see from a marketing perspective, and that's also my background, to just kind of test the market and say, hey, if I took this image, what are people going to like? And what I immediately found was this amazing community. And so I started with a couple hundred followers. In fact, I probably ignored Instagram for the first 2 years that I was on there. And then I just got on there and started to be very consistent about it and grow my photography skills and define my look of my brand, and then went from there. Ralph Fajek, thanks for dropping by today. Sarah Marino, also, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. You could ask some questions and leave some comments, and we'll try and get to them sometime today. So, Jamie, the first thing I got to ask you then is that I'm not a trained photographer. Right.
I lack creativity when it comes to that sort of thing. But now all of a sudden Instagram's made me a professional photographer.
Yeah, and the great thing with an iPhone or a smartphone today is anybody can be a professional photographer, and it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't take a lot of props. We're in my studio right now. I think Dennis is going to give you this. It's a little prop heavy, and I'm very fortunate to have some space, but really you just need a good background, and the big thing is just to determine what the look of your brand is going to be, and that is critical.
Okay, so before we jump into that, are professional photographers threatened at all because of the fact that people have Instagram and they're like, well, how, is that playing out in a mix at all?
I don't know that. I mean, I've had some conversations with some professional photographers. I think it's amazing what success is on Instagram, and sometimes the professional photographers are not successful because they're not being consistent with it. And so some of the average person who really has a passion for it. I have a friend that I'm friends with in Australia. She shoots everything on her iPhone. She has 75,000 followers, and it's beautiful, and it's consistent, and it's in. There's a look to it, and people love it. So I don't know that you necessarily have to have.
I think it's a depth of people, right? And when I was a school teacher back years ago, there were teachers that were offended that people that wanted to homeschool their children,
right.
And I was cool with that because of the fact that they took their kid, and there was one less kid I had to worry about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's saying it the wrong way, but it adding some levity to the conversation. But now you have newspaper, you have that people that don't like the blogging community, or they look down upon that, and you've got people that are in the radio business that look at podcasters and they say, well, they're a podcaster, and everybody can kind of, now the barrier to entry is very low.
Correct.
And we all have this capability to stop into this area. I don't think anything takes away from the depth of the expertise and the eye that a professional photographer has. I think that these tools give us the ability to do not what you do from a professional photography perspective, but at least give us a glimpse.
Yeah, and I think you know your place, but I think if you've got a good eye, you've got a good eye. And sometimes the most amateur person has taken the most amazing photograph.
Sure. And
certainly with, as I said, with the technology today, you can really do that. I consider myself a social media content creator, and I sort of know my place. I don't shoot weddings. I don't shoot things that move.
What does that mean, social media content creator? Let's start there, because this is the foundation of what you were talking about with the brand, and this is also the foundation of how you went from 0 to 20,000 followers, which is what people want to know. Social media content creator. What does that mean? Social
media content creator is I've identified my own brand. It started with myself, and I identified my own brand, my own look. I happen to take pictures of vintage items with flowers. That is sort of what I am known for. But I also like to work with other clients to help them with their content and go to their place of business and help them to create a content library. The big thing about social media, particularly Instagram, you've got to be consistent. So if you've got I'm going to put a photo up every day. Well, that's 365 photos.
Correct.
One day off of Instagram is a long time. And so people want to be on Instagram, but they don't necessarily know, they don't have the content. And so I try to go in and help them with their brand, help them with their content.
Do you have to post every day at a certain time, or can you not be so much worried about programmatic as you are consistent on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first and foremost, I would say be consistent on a day-to-day basis. But the second part is really try to understand your audience. I had one client, and their audience was 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night. That's when we seemed to do very, very well. It was a food-based product, so I think that is when people were home, they were thinking about it. My followers tend to... I post first thing in the morning, usually at about 8 in the morning, every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day.
And from as far as not only just now from a posting perspective, can I overpost on Instagram? Like if I started to go DOYO live 2-3 posts a day, watching my metrics, but can I overpost Instagram?
Well, I think you can overpost if you're sending out the same content over and over. I always say you need to inform, educate, and entertain. And so let's say you're sending out an informative post first thing in the morning, maybe an educational post mid-afternoon, and then maybe a funny one in the afternoon or late afternoon. That's fine. But just try to think about, are you sending the same image all the time? Is it repetitive? People will tune that out. They want to see something that's a little different. Do I have to, because you have so many options on Instagram from a filter perspective, do I have to, as I brand me or my business, do I have to stay consistent with the filter that I use every time, or does the diversity of that kind of say, oh, here's something different? I would say that you need to stay consistent with your colors, your tones, and your general look. So yes, I would say I do use filters. I use more professional filters, but even when I shoot a picture and I edit it on my computer and then I bring it onto my phone, I notice some variation, and I actually do some post editing on my phone. I use a program called PicTapGo. It's a great little program. PicTapGo, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. PicTapGo, it's super. Because I think that every photo, even if you've shot it just on your phone, needs a little adjustment. But you want to make sure that color and that tone is consistent, and there's a consistent look throughout your feed. So yeah, you don't want to have something that's black and white or more soft tones, and then all of a sudden have a bright, vibrant tone in there. It sort of throws people off. So whatever that look of your brand is, and I would say think of some colors, think of some things that represent your brand, your look, the things that your eye is drawn to. And it can be, I had a conversation with a potter. She was mixing a potter. She makes... It's like a professional term? Professional potter, yeah, professional potter. She makes pots and mugs and dishes, and she's just getting into photography, and she had a beautiful She had beautiful pictures of her own photos, but then intermixed, she was throwing in family pictures, and she was throwing in some pictures of other things, and they weren't necessarily off her brand. But I suggested to her, why don't you do those in black and white? Because her other pictures had a very soft tone to it. And that they didn't jump out so much that they were family or photos of something else. They kind of worked with her brand.
And this is a good, by the way, this is perfect timing. Becky, thanks for dropping by today. And also, thank you for the question as well. And this is a question that I actually have, and it kind of goes back to the Potter, and it also goes back to your own as well. Becky Bertuzzi asked a question about what's your thought on personal pages and then also your business page. And your at Ala Jamie
right
is strictly you have everything that's in your workshop that you work on with the flowers and the vintage work. You do not put any of yourself into that conversation.
I don't. I think on my feed, gosh, in the past year or so, I think you'll find 2 family photos, and I really questioned even whether to put those on there. But again, I kind of made it look like it belonged in there, and they were special occasions, so I allowed that to happen. But for the most part, I keep the way that I use my family story or my personal. I put that on Facebook. To me, those are my friends.
You go to Facebook and that's
yeah,
it.
if you want to know what's going on in my life, I mean, it really, those are my friends, my family that I truly know. I mean, I know a lot of folks on my Instagram.
You don't know all 20,000 of your followers?
I don't know. And they're from all over. And so I would say for sure, if you're in a business and you are part of your business, if let's say it's a restaurant or something like that, it's okay to put yourself in there, but it's gotta relate. It's gotta relate to your brand.
Okay.
And so above all else, think of what is your brand, and is it just items? And it could, so let's say you're in a restaurant, it definitely could be food shots. And there's nothing wrong with showing you serving those food shots or you preparing those food shots or any of that is fantastic as long as it works within your brand. Is it a picture of your kid at the park on a Sunday? No. I mean, put that somewhere else or set up your own Instagram.
But I could get a lot of cheap likes that way.
You can. But that's better to do on your own personal Instagram. Set up a personal Instagram, and you can have a couple of Instagrams and go in between them.
So easily. I agree with that. So my personal Instagram is just a mess because of the fact that when I started it out, it was my test kitchen. And I didn't take it very seriously, so it's really a documentation of my kids and dogs and stuff that we do. And I kind of use that as my own test kitchen, and then I take over the professional side of the DOYO Live platform or people that I'm currently working with to build up their Instagram accounts. And I am big behind the scenes. Everybody wants access, and I think that works very well. So the only time that I've posted anything to the DOYO Live platform was maybe at Thanksgiving, because I've tried to make this concerted effort because I talk so much marketing all the time that I actually do have a lot of passions outside of just marketing. And I said, maybe people will relate to this a little bit better. So at Thanksgiving, I post a family, what I'm thankful for, and that it was my family.
Sure.
And the context is extremely important behind that.
Right.
But I think that what's also funny about it, conversely, I do, on all social media, I do incorporate some of my business posts about once every 5 to 7 posts in between that, because family members, sadly enough, don't always understand what it is that I do.
Yeah.
So they could be your biggest referral source.
Absolutely.
And so you can't overlook the importance of doing it that way as well. So as we stay consistent with posting times,
sure.
We stay consistent with the brand. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you handle engagement? You've got 20,000 people at this point. First of all, how long did it take you to get to that point? What's the time frame?
Well, the time frame, I really got committed the beginning of 2016. And, well, I shouldn't say that, excuse me, the beginning of 2015. So the beginning of 2015, I started with a couple hundred followers.
So we're at 2017, so it took 2 years to get to 20,000.
21-1. Not that I'm counting. I'm counting.
Excuse me.
21-1.
And any of it, I make a joke about performance enhancing, but any sort of third-party apps?
No.
Did you ever use any of these gimmicks that are out there with paid for apps that help you get more following?
Absolutely not. And I would 100% say do not do that, because you can tell if someone's done that. I would rather see someone's feed with 150 followers and some good engagement than 7,000 followers and 7 likes. That tells me that they bought their followers.
Bought your followers.
You bought your followers, and people who are very active on Instagram can easily spot someone who's bought followers.
Patience. Here's the secret sauce of 21,020 followers.
Consistency.
Consistency, patience, hard work. There are no
Yeah.
secrets here, really. Like, I mean, it's...
There aren't.
No.
And it's connection. And so the way that I started, I thought to myself at the beginning of 2015, I'm going to post every day, see what that happens.
Okay.
And started to build, started to get a following. By the end of 2015, I had about 5,000 followers. And I thought, wow.
At the end of what?
2015. So I went from 200 to 5,000.
That's significant.
That's significant. And I thought, wow, that's great. Now that's the end of 2015. For some crazy reason, and there's some Instagram analytics that are out there that I'm not sure why, within the first quarter of 2016, I jumped about 4,000 or 5,000 followers.
Oh, you jumped?
Jumped up. So then I was up to about 10,000 followers by March of 2016. So it went crazy.
That's incredible.
And then it slowed down. And so now my average now is about 1,000 a month. So I'm growing my...
1,000 a month.
1,000 a month.
All right, so we're growing a following. It's taken 2 years to get to where you're at today.
Right.
Steady growth has won the day. And you engage with your followership. How do you go out and do you like other pictures? Do you make comments on other people's photos? When people comment on yours, what's your strategy behind how you engage with people?
I do all of those things. So certainly I look at, and but the other thing too is people are like, oh gosh, I don't have the time to do this. I mean, it's
well, if you quit binge watching Netflix, like,
yeah.
I just got done binge watching the OJ.
Oh, well, I haven't seen that one yet.
It is completely mesmerizing. I work until about midnight, pretty much every night. Sometimes it goes until like 1, and I have to decompress because you're staring at the computer.
Yeah.
So I will binge watch really late at night, and I went through the 6 or 7 episodes of that trial, and it just brings you back to 92.
Yeah.
Immediately. And it's or 93.
94. Yeah.
It's incredible. Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry to get off that.
That's okay. That's all right.
So
I engage. I started.
You don't have the time, and you engage by liking and commenting.
Yeah, and particularly if you're just starting out, you've got a little bit more time. I mean, if somebody's taking the time to like your photo, certainly like their photo, or comment on it, thank them, go back and go look at their feed and comment on a few photos on their feed. That's how I sort of started. I would see what other people were doing. I would comment on them. I would reach out and I would leave authentic comments. If I really liked something,
Not just emojis?
Not just, never. Yeah, if people leave me emojis, I'm sort of like, okay, thank you. And now we've got the like button, which is nice that you can just...
And then after that, you can like...
You can like it. Whereas when I started, and actually the like button is relatively new, I would go back and leave a comment for everybody that had said something, almost individually too.
You have to.
You have to. And I would go to their feed. One of the suggestions that was given to me is when you get up in the morning, go to the people that like your feed most often and go comment on their stuff. Or find a few new people to comment on their things each day and move on with your day. It doesn't have to consume you.
And I think that the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that it has to be very meticulous, OCD-like, to literally on a regular basis engage with that following bidirectionally, to comment, appreciate the commentary, hit the likes, hit the hearts, and be authentic and real. And it's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's not easy. So that coupled with the fact then when you're in that mode, follow for a follow. Is that something that you stay out of?
Stay away from that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't do that. I've built a community, which is kind of interesting. There certainly are, depending on what your brand is, you'll find your tribe, you'll find your community, and start to engage with those people. Don't underestimate direct messaging someone. If there's somebody that you really like,
Okay.
and maybe they're a big deal, direct message them. I mean, the worst that can happen is that they don't answer you, but who knows? Maybe they'll follow you. Certainly, the other thing too is if you've used somebody's item in your picture, tag them, because then they will see it. I don't necessarily see if somebody's commented, but if they've tagged me, then it's going to come up. Then it's
close. Why? This is perfect timing, by the way, for a software upgrade.
Update, right? Then it'll, Don't you love technology? So then they'll tag me. So for instance, I received some flowers from Farm Girl Flowers out in San Francisco.
Sweet.
It was a gift from Tara Fodor. Love Tara Fodor. She's local. She sent me some flowers. I took a photo of those flowers, tagged Farm Girl Flowers, who has 120,000 followers, and they thanked me. They follow me now, and they actually put my photo on their feed. I was like, yes.
All right, so
that's huge.
That is amazing. Now let's talk about your tagging strategy.
Right.
What recommend? Like, I rotate 20. You get 20 tags. I will rotate that. I don't tag the same person every time. And about every third or fifth picture, will I go out and I'll tag like 20 people.
Yeah, I only tag the products that hashtag versus tag. I only tag the products that are in my photos if they're something that I don't own or something that I'm sponsoring. But I have a pretty consistent hashtag strategy.
All right, we're gonna jump into hashtag strategy in a minute. Everybody, this is Jamie Jamison. Hi. She has 12 followers. You can follow her on Instagram at
ALA Jamie.
Ala Jamie. And I'm Dennis Schiraldi, founder of DOYO Live, the Digital Marketing Interactive Design Conference, taking place August 2nd and 3rd in Youngstown, Ohio. So we're talking about how she has built up her following on Instagram and how we're going to take DOYO from our currently, I think we're modestly at 1,500 or 2,000. I should know this number off the top of my head. I don't. To over 10,000, and we're going to learn that today, and hopefully you are as well.
Yeah.
So really good stuff here, Jamie. So I want to get back into just the tagging. So from my perspective, we have guest speakers, we have sponsors, we have people in the community, we have businesses that are out there that we want to get their attention that we've got a marketing conference, and they have a lot of marketing people that work there. So, the Dick's Sporting Goods, the Home Savings and Loan that might not be sponsoring us, but maybe came to the conference, we'll tag them to make sure that they're seeing us. But we obviously don't want to spam and be annoying with it either. Appropriate, inappropriate? Do you like that strategy?
I don't tend to personally, I don't like it when someone tags me and it is not relevant to me at all.
Okay.
If they've tagged me, oftentimes I get tagged because people use my photos. So they'll use my photo in their own feed, which is fine.
As long as you get credit.
As long as I get credit. And if I get credit, then I'm fine with that. So
that was a really cool strategy that you gave to me the last time we met for coffee, so that you know that this just doesn't happen for the sake of the show. Jamie and I got together for coffee back a month or so ago, and we were talking, and I was picking her brain on Instagram because she just really knows her stuff. And you said that if I were to find photos that I like, I can say, can I screenshot and give you credit on my feed? And I did that, and it was amazing, the response that I got back from people. And then I did it, and then what's even more amazing is the amount of traction that I got from those posts.
Absolutely. So you've built your own brand, and anybody who's building their own brand, sometimes it's really hard to get content. You may not be a photographer. You may have only so many ideas.
Yep.
But there's tons of content that's out there. And as long as maybe you're in, as I said, the food industry, and there's plenty of food photos that are out there.
Sure.
And so rather than you trying to come up with or take a new picture every single day, go out and see what's out there and ask if you can borrow that photo or use that photo, tag that person, give them proper credit, make sure that that is their photo. And that's key too, because oftentimes they've bought stock photography or they've maybe used someone else's photo. So that's really key too. And ask them, direct message them, hey, I love your photo. Can we use it on my feed?
Yep.
And they'll say yay or nay.
We've done several DOYO Live dailies, our 5-minute marketing tips and tricks during the week. Myself and our creative director Mike Ponticus also covered the topic about royalty-free images, sites like Gratisography, Unsplash, Upsplash, Unsplash, and then also Pexels. But anyway, so the so now let's talk about the hashtag strategy, because that's a really important element to all this, right?
Yeah, so hashtags, and I always explain hashtags, it's like a filing system. So you want to think about...
Thanks, AJ, for dropping by today. Really appreciate it.
Hey, AJ. So think about where you want to put your photos with other people's photos.
Okay.
One of the things that, and I keep jumping back to, well, I'll use my own. Flowers, because I take pictures of flowers. I don't hashtag the word flowers. I mean, it doesn't make sense, because there's going to be 4 billion people out there hashtagging the word flowers.
Jamie, I'm leaving here very humbled because I hashtag marketing.
Yeah.
Because I know that,
yeah.
You know, I'm getting very vain with, I could deal with hair loss, but I can't deal with low level likes. So yeah. I hear you though. So flowers is not... You know, it's not going to do you any good.
It's not going to do. So when you look at Instagram, there's the top 9 that are typically, and that's Instagram's analytics, that whether you've received a lot of likes or there's been a lot of traction on that photo, and you have no control over what ends up in that top 9. But typically, if you're in the top 9, that means that a lot more people are going to see your photo.
Okay.
And so...
And your follower, or just in general?
In general. And because even though on an average, okay, now this is a little braggadocious and I don't mean to, but on an average day, I'm going to get about 1,000 likes on a photo.
It's amazing.
But maybe only a couple hundred of those folks are actually following me.
Interesting.
So, but they've seen my photo, because often with my hashtag strategy, I've picked different hashtags that maybe have less folks in them, or they have an opportunity for me to rise to the top.
Okay.
And so then they'll see it there. And that's important to me. So that's how I pick it. It's definitely based on my industry and where I am.
Yep.
But they tend to be groups of people. I, for instance, have created my own hashtag called Petals and Props, because I like flowers and vintage stuff.
And just my own... 2 cents on that is we have a hashtag DOYO Live.
Right.
We use that across Instagram and Twitter, and we're very committed to that. But people have to understand as well that when you invent your own hashtag, it again, patience wins the day, because it's not a trending hashtag. You're branding it.
It is, and so I've had, I could look now, I want to say over 30,000+ people hashtag Petals and Props.
Sweet.
Which is great. And I think that's the number. I think when I looked last week, it's huge. And that's been and I've done it for about a year. But what I do is every Monday, I pick 4 people that have hashtagged Petals and Props, and I give them props. And I say, hey, way to go. These are great petals and props. And so there's that, again, that conversation, that dialogue. I'm often selected to be part of other people's hashtags that they've set up, and again, they will feature me in a grid, or they'll feature me in some way, and those are some of the hashtags that you want to look for, is where they're going to prop you up and give you props. I'm friends with a gentleman in this area who does coffee props, and all he does is prop pictures of coffee, and that's fantastic.
That's really cool. So Chrissy Polis, thanks for Hennigy. Sorry, I've known Chrissy since college, which is last week for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And good to see you dropping by, and also Stephanie Hahn, my neighbor, is dropping by as well.
Steph.
Yeah.
Hi.
So thank you. We're talking Instagram with Jamie Jameson. Again, 21,000 followers on Instagram, and just giving away some just nuggets here of very valuable information to utilize. On my Instagram strategy, then, should I rotate out my hashtags, or better yet, do you stay consistent with what you do, or do I rotate them through?
I tend to stay consistent, and I actually do a little cheater thing. I go into save them on notes, and then I go into my keyboard, and I have a keyboard shortcut, and I just post them that way.
Okay.
But then
It's a great hack, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. But then I also look at, and this is key too. Look at the big deal people in your particular field. Who are they hashtagging? And go look at those hashtags and see what's going on out there. Now, I mean, if you look at hashtag Youngstown or hashtag 330, you're going to see a variety.
You're going to see stuff.
You're going to see stuff. Is this where you want to be?
But it is. I want to dominate Youngstown, Boardman. I want to own my own backyard, and I want to own those top 9 or top 6 pictures of the top trending posts every day. Right.
Absolutely.
And get the other stuff
out of there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, interesting is a good word. But if that particular hashtag, even though you think it makes sense, is gathering content that doesn't fit your brand, then don't hashtag that. Don't put your stuff with.
Here's a funny one for you. So a few years ago, I was working with a brand on social media marketing and listening tools, and we were implementing this tool at Gorilla Glue, and so I don't know if you know the brand Gorilla Glue.
Yeah,
or not,
I do.
But
I got some over here.
So their PR people were aware of it, but their marketing people were not aware of the fact that the hashtag that was trending through all social media, in addition to the Gorilla Glue brand, happened to do with a very high strong strand of marijuana.
Good, yeah.
And they were like, holy crap. And they had there's no recourse, because hashtags are not,
you don't own them.
You can't trademark them. You can't own them. So you just have to, you have to be very intuitive and do your homework and do your research. Right. So, okay.
The other thing that I'll tell you is, if you choose to create your own hashtag for your brand.
Okay.
So I created Petals and Props, and I did it about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago. When I created hashtag Petals and Props, I also went and created an Instagram account, Petals and Props, because I don't own the hashtag Petals and Props.
And you don't know whether or not that takes off.
And I don't know whether it's going to take off or not, but I do own the Instagram account, Petals and Props, and I didn't want somebody to take my hashtag. So let's say you have hashtag DOYO Live August, because it's August or 2017. I don't know that I'd necessarily create an Instagram account for DOYO Live 2017, but maybe there's an aspect of it. DOYO Live marketing, DOYO Live social media, that you're like, wait a minute, somebody could take that and...
Don't nobody go out there claiming the DOYO Live stuff today.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, so we have a question from EJ Hannah, Women's Wear.
Hi, Lindsay.
Thanks for dropping by. And a former student of mine at Youngstown State also spent some time working there as well. So what are your thoughts on or about story and video or live video on Instagram?
They are really taken off, and I would say, particularly and I know Lindsay, who owns EJ Hannah, she's awesome, and she and I have talked about Instagram. I think that's fantastic, because I think that certainly people want to. It gives it a little bit more of a life and a presence. And the other cool thing about doing stories is that you can. And this goes back to showing your brand and being consistent in your feed. You can go off brand a little bit and do that in live, or do a photo over there.
Because it's really going to dissipate in 24 hours.
It is. The other really cool thing, which they just came out with this week, is you can have multiple photos.
That is amazing, by the way.
Amazing.
So what I envision that one to be is that, you can, behind the scenes, again, I'm huge in this unvarnished. We do a live marketing show because we have a live conference, and I'm cool with that. And we're getting traction with the Facebook Live, and I like the behind the scenes stuff. But there's also a finished product, and I think that the way that you're going to be able to do an Instagram story, not the stories, the quick day, 5 to 7 maybe updates a day with the stories, but with that new mechanism in Instagram, you can tell the story from planning to the meeting. To the putting it together, to now the final product, and I think that's going to be really cool.
I think it's going to be huge, because, and oftentimes when I'm taking a photo, I'll just put one up, but I've taken 10 photos, maybe different versions.
Oh, really?
And so it's great to say, hey, here's the one that I love the best, but look behind and there's 3 or 4. Or to your point, if maybe it's Lindsay, I'll do EJ Hannah. Maybe it's the same young lady who is trying on 4 or 5 dresses.
Nice.
And you show her in all 4 or 5 dresses. She'd have to agree to it, and but that's a great way of that new tool. But I think the showing the live, doing the stories, maybe once, twice a week, maybe more. Whatever seems to work for your brand. It's a great way.
And it's obviously a direct. The Facebook and Instagram recognize that Snapchat. There's 40-50% of millennials are looking at or Snapchat on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
It's obviously the direct, response to Snapchat as they take their product or their platform to to their IPO. And the fact of the matter is that, Instagram's adoption rate with people in general versus Snapchat. I love Snapchat, but I see that the stories in the live, I've not really experimented so much with the live, oddly enough. We did, I think, maybe one live video in this format in addition to our Facebook Lives, but I definitely want to get into that a little bit more. A couple more elements before we button this up, Jamie. And I really appreciate your time today.
Sure.
We've got a pretty good announcement, I think, coming before the end of this live broadcast today. So, what about my location? Do you see any gains with saying, it will, if your location services are on and adding the map, saying that you're in Youngstown, Ohio? Like last week I had Ryan Martino on from Martino Motorsports.
Okay.
So when they go to a drag race over the weekend, they are competing, and Ryan a lot of times will take a picture of the race car and then utilize the location at the track.
Right.
And then people at the track see that Martino Motorsports is there, and they all come, up and visit them there. Do you have a location strategy that's worth?
I don't necessarily use location strategy just because it's my home that I'm taking photos in.
Yeah, I am cautious of that too. Like when I post a picture, I'm somewhat cautious of that because we have young children, and
right.
It's.
But the cool thing about location strategy, and I do think, particularly if you're a business, absolutely you should be posting your location.
Okay.
But for DOYO Live, for instance, even though you're posting the photo from your home and it's going to show you your home,
right.
You can actually go to Williamson School of Business, or you can actually change it.
We just type it in and change it,
and so you may want to do, because that way it does give an idea of where this is going to be.
Yep.
And so I think that that's important. So I think that particularly if you're a retail business, absolutely every single time you should be posting your location.
That is awesome. So tons of great information. We are going to make sure that we post this over to our blog at doyolive.com. We have early bird tickets that are on sale. They're $150, and we are announcing our speaker lineup over the next week to week and a half. I think it's going to be like March 5th. We're going to have this up on the website very soon. So you're going to want to grab those tickets because we sold out last year, and we're expecting to, at least accomplish the same this year. The lineup is getting stronger and stronger. We've got some sponsorships that are coming in that we're getting ready to announce as well. And a really big announcement that I'd like to make today, because we like to do this from our platforms first, is that Jamie Jameson will actually be a breakout session leader this year at DOYO Live. So I saw a couple of people saying that they're taking notes. But if you really want to, you could come meet her in person at DOYO Live on August 3rd, when she's going to be running a 45-minute breakout session on a lot of the information that we're presenting today. She didn't give it all away, but she gave a lot of really good, helpful stuff. But just to put it, is there anything else that you'd like to tell them about Instagram as we wrap this up? But I want to give you a chance to promote your website as well. But
I would just say be consistent.
Consistency wins.
Consistency. Connect with your audience.
Connect. Social media is bi-directional engagement.
Yeah.
Joanna Ficarelli-Z says, thanks for dropping by today.
Yeah.
It means everything in the world that you're in Chicago, but you found us in Youngstown, Ohio. So thank you.
And be creative. And just be creative.
Be creative.
Yeah, be creative. And, if you need help with your Instagram, I'll give that shameless plug. I mean, just reach out to me on Instagram.
Do that. I mean, seriously, this is a valuable resource here that, I pick this brain, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, and it's, you know, I try to bring value back to you as well,
Yeah.
and make sure that
You're great at that.
You know, but you know, I look, if I go to Jamie, I think she's the go-to.
Well, thanks. And I do coaching. I do individual coaching for folks, and I come to your place of business, or I have you come to my studio, and I help you with your brand, and just to get you going, because that's the important thing is just committing to this.
Let me ask you this. This is I think really a good way to end the conversation today. So now you build this following, and where is it going? And at a certain point, you know, the content marketing strategy is find your passion,
Right.
find your interest, because putting out content on a daily basis is very difficult. So being consistent, and then as you grow the following, you could begin to monetize that.
Correct.
So now you got 21,000+ followers on your Instagram account. What opportunities are presenting themselves at 21,000 followers? Whether it's speaking opportunities, or is there product being shipped to your house? Are you getting paid for product endorsement? Well, talk to me a little bit about some of that passion.
A little bit of all of that, and that's sort of been the benefit that has happened as a result. Certainly, I'm doing some sponsored posts. I have people sending me things, wanting me to promote their items, which is great.
Right.
A few free products is terrific. I am doing some speaking engagements. I'm super excited to be doing DOYO Live. Yes, that's going to be fantastic, and I am doing another speaking engagement in March, and so that's wonderful. Sweet. Yeah, and that's terrific, because that's the teacher in me. That's what I love to do. But the other thing that sort of evolved from all of this, because everyone always says, well, what are you doing with those 21,000 followers? I am a teacher at heart, so I want to help coach and help teach small businesses to be successful on Instagram, and do it in an affordable way, because I think often, and you can do it. Everybody can do it. You don't need to hire somebody to, and because you know your product, you know it better than anybody else, and it's just coming up with a few tools to make it happen.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's great advice. We didn't even get a chance to get in the video, but we're gonna save some of that stuff so that you got to come over and check out our website. DOYOLive.com. We will have this video blog posted by next week, and maybe we'll also give some additional nuggets on implementing video as a part of your strategy. Jamie Jameson, follow her on Instagram at @AlaJamie. She will be a breakout session leader at DOYO Live in 2017 on August 2nd and 3rd. And thank you everybody so much for dropping by. Give us some comments, give us some feedback, share the love. And we're gonna get going. It's really weird out right now. It's like 80 degrees, and I got senioritis. So
I know.
I'm skipping out.
We're out of here. Bye.